Well, it was boisterous. It was a very popular rally from the viewpoint of Donald Trump supporters. There were around 20,000 of them in the Amway Center in downtown Orlando, a basketball arena, most of the year, and they lapped up every single word that Donald Trump said at his re-election campaign rally. He is a very popular president in large parts of the country, and Central Florida is one of those parts, and it is one of those key parts as well, because this is a swing state, and this area where we are is a swing area within a swing state. This is where Donald Trump really needs to convince those voters who were already with him in 2016, but from what we saw just a few hours ago, are even more enthusiastic about Donald Trump now. They believe that he has kept his promises. They believe that he has indeed made America great again, to use the slogan from the president. He, by the way, introduced a new one. That new campaign slogan is "Keep America Great." And that is the point of view that was very much shared by the president and by those 20,000 people in the basketball arena. It really was a reminder for all of us that he is a very popular president, not in the whole country, but in parts of the country, certainly.
Okay, so that gives us an idea of the tone there, Philip. But what did you take away were the main themes of the president's speech?
Well, a lot of it, as you mentioned, were things that we've heard already from the president. There weren't any really new announcements from him. What this wasn't was an election program, if you will, that he decided to present to his potential voters here in the United States. He, of course, has things that he is very proud of. He believes that he has kept a lot of promises. Of course, the American economy is doing well. Of course, joblessness is down in the United States. Those are things that he absolutely brought up. Then there was, of course, one other major theme, and that is illegal immigration. This is a frustrated president because one of those campaign promises from 2016 he hasn't been able to keep. That wall that he had promised on the border between the United States and Mexico has not been built. He promised it again here today, that was going to be done during the second term of a potential two-term Donald Trump presidency. But otherwise, the tone was very similar to what we've heard from the president. We hear this in the White House itself, but more than anything, on the campaign trail. And remember, he's been on the campaign trail since he basically took office in the White House. An aggressive tone toward journalists, for example, also a very aggressive tone, of course, also toward the Democratic Party.
And now, Philip, when he ran the first time, he was really running as this outsider. That's not really something he can claim after so many years in the White House, but it does sound like he's trying to, nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely, he's trying to do that. And what you need as an outsider is you need some strong opponents, establishment figures, if you will. And at times, actually, during this campaign relaunch, if you will, here in Orlando, it appeared that his opponent was actually Hillary Clinton again, because he did go after her more than he did against any of his potential opponents in a 2020 matchup. Joe Biden, the former vice president, of course, right now is the favorite for the president. So he's still trying to be an outsider. That, I think, is also where those attacks on the media come from. He needs an opponent, of course, to energize him. But essentially, this was also a campaign event that harked back to what happened 3 years ago, a president who is proud of that big surprise in 2016 when the polls, of course, showed that he had almost no chance of winning the presidency. And by the way, that is something that we see repeated again this time around. There are polls out there, and some pretty good ones that show that we can trust, that show that the president could lose in a potential matchup against, for example, Joe Biden. Those polls show that the former vice president would be ahead of Donald Trump in a lot of those key swing states, and Florida is one of them. So in that sense, we're ahead of a situation that is a little bit similar to 2016. Donald Trump, of course, you won't be surprised to hear, called those polls fake.